Hey there, how's it going? This is James Tripp. This is a video for James Tripp on YouTube. Yes, it's been a while, but I wanted to share a little clip out of a longer conversation that I recently had with an old mentor and coach of mine, somebody who actually taught me a phenomenal amount, not just kind of mentored and coached me, but actually taught me a phenomenal amount and really helped me upgrade and transform my own personal operating system so that I was more able to create with the unpredictable unfolding world around me, more able to bring about the kinds of results that I wanted in life. So Steve has had a huge impact on me, changed the way I work with clients. I want to share this little bit here from the longer podcast episode. If you want to find the podcast, it's on Agents of Everything, on Substack, on Spotify, on Apple, probably other platforms as well. I'll put a link back to the Substack pinned in the comments and also in the description. But if you want that longer conversation, you can go there. But this clip is just focusing on one aspect, and it is the I that chooses versus the unconscious mind. Okay. And I'm talking here about as a hypnotist, as an NLPer, when I started working with Steve, it was, for me, all about the unconscious mind. And Steve introduced me to this different way of seeing or being in myself that I found to be incredibly powerful. That's what we're exploring just a little bit in this clip. When I first started working with you, I was strictly kind of like an NLP guy and a hypnosis guy. So I saw the world very much through an NLP set of lenses. And there was an idea that I was sort of living inside of that I didn't necessarily realize, that everything is about unconscious patterning. And if we want to change ourselves, we have to get deep into our unconscious mind, and we have to like find these patterns. We have to do all this repatterning, reprogramming, whatever you want to call it. Now, I remember when I started coaching with you very, very early on, there was something you said to me that just, it was like a cold glass of water in the face. You said something like this. You said, stop identifying with your personality. Stop identifying with your patterns. Stop identifying with who you think you are. And start identifying with the I that chooses, right? And I remember this, what? The I that chooses, what? Because, I've been living in this hypnosis land that was all about unconscious forces. And there was this story, which is you can't do anything with willpower or anything like that, which I understand that willpower isn't always the smartest choice going head to head. But this idea, the I that chooses, this was like a light going on for me. And I think it's a powerful theme that runs through all of your work, at least the era of your work that I know, this I that chooses. So I'm curious about that. That was a light switch going on for me. Was that a light switch that went on for you at some point in your life about the I that chooses? If so, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a historical me, little old me that I identified with, that had all kinds of personality problems and character flaws and past micro traumatic experiences that lived in my subconscious. And it was a murky, complex, pathological system that was having a hard time dealing with the world. And that illusion that I was only my historical story was what was actually in the way of me having the freedom to choose the life I wanted and to choose in the present moment, who I want to be and what action I want to take. But I don't have to dive deep into my past. Now, there's a wonderful place for NLP and hypnosis. They're both wonderful systems, but I think our work together was getting you into action, creating the life you wanted, which can be done in the moment. And it took me a long time to figure that out. So I figured that out basically when I recovered from alcohol and drugs, and I went through a recovery program. And for the program to work, they had a system with steps. It was a 12-step program. To work that system, you didn't need to have to find out how or why. Because I'd been to a number of psychologists. Why do I drink? Why do I take drugs? Why do I go into debt? Why do I mess my life up? We've got to find out why. And we've got to discover what's the hidden motivation for all my dysfunction. And when I went through the recovery program, when I first got there, I said, "Are we going to find out why I drink?" And they said, "No, that doesn't matter. If you don't want to drink, this program's for you. It works. All you do is follow the system and leave your ego at the door." It is a spiritual program, but you don't have to subscribe to any particular religion or have any kind of orthodoxy that you try to believe in. You simply leave your ego at the door when you come to meetings, and you acknowledge that your own ego, your own little I, not the I that chooses, which is a universal I, the little I, the I that becomes a victim, is not needed for this program. You just have to acknowledge there's a power greater than yourself, your little self, and that power, once accessed, once it becomes part of your life, will support you in not drinking and having the life you want. So all you have to do, keep coming back, work the program. Don't just argue with it intellectually, work it. And if you work it, it works. And it did. And so that was the first place, James, where I saw, oh, so I'm not just a collection of all these bad memories and traumas. That's in the past. That's gone. It's gone. Unless I want to keep bringing it back
Right.
with all my inaccurate memories of it.
It's kind of interesting. I've just been reading this book at the moment on something called narrative therapy. And one of the distinctions that they make is, he doesn't quite put it in this term, but I like the way that I'm going to put it now, is what he would call a kind of essential self-concept, an essentialist self-concept versus an intentional self-concept. So the essentialist thing is, well, like, what's true about me? You know, what are the deep truths about who I am? And he kind of points out that a lot of therapy is orientated around this, finding these deep truths and working with these, who am I? What makes me me? But the narrative therapy approach, what was interesting to me, it's all about looking back at your life, but in terms of what was important to you, what your intentions were, what your aspirations were, what your purposes were in the moments of your life. To start to kind of rebuild a history. It has got a historical element, but it rebuilds a history around agency and intentionality, not around these sort of hidden deep forces. That was coming to my mind when you were talking about that. A couple of things in what you were saying now I'm curious about. First of all, though, inside of that program that you were talking about, the 12-step program, obviously you got a lot from that. Was the theme of choice explicitly kind of unpacked? Is it like, you know, you have a choice in every moment as to whether you go with the program? Was that a really big central piece, or is it just kind of more implicit in the fabric of it?
I think that was implicit. It kept coming up because some of those steps were very challenging and you had to be very thorough, but it was implicit. It was like, when you're ready to move to the next step, you'll make a choice to move to the next step, and it'll be a choice. Don't get stuck with trying to find out inside your psychology whether you're ready or not. Just choose and move on and get into action and get into, I like what you said about the narrative. It's a matter of intention, action, choosing, movement, energy, and creativity. So, yeah, it was implicit. It was there. Looking back, I see it was there. And I wrote a book about the choices that I never knew we had, and my clients never knew they had. It was called Crazy Good, and it was a book of choices. And so the whole book is about, here are choices that I never knew I had, and that my clients that I work with don't realize they have.
You know, it's kind of interesting you bring up crazy good and that idea of choices or distinctions, because that was a huge piece for me as well. I mean, you would often, when you were coaching me, you would hand me these distinctions and invite me into these distinctions. So if you want to hear the rest of this conversation, go and check out the pinned comment or the description. You'll find a link to the Agents of Everything Substack. please do go on there. Please do sign up if you want more from Agents of Everything. That's where I'm actually putting out more content these days than I do on YouTube. And you can also listen on Spotify and Apple if you prefer, whatever, the choice is yours. But if you get some goodness from this video, please do like it. Please do give it a thumbs up. And please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And also go over to Agents of Everything on Substack and subscribe there. You're going to get a lot more goodness if you're subscribed there as well. Okay, thanks for being here. And I look forward to when we next connect.